Missouri is about to make anyone who homeschools their kids a felon if you possess firearms where you teach your kids. That's what we're hearing going around. It's done past one part, and now it's got to go through the House and be signed into law by the governor. That's what we're hearing, that if you homeschool, they're trying to make homeschools more like a public school, right? You can't have weapons and anything on public school grounds, so now they're saying they're going to do this. That if you if you're homeschooling, it becomes essentially a public school, right? And some people are saying, well, hey, maybe they won't do that, and then it'll open up homeschooling for grants. Maybe homeschooling can get grants. Most people at homeschool don't want anything to do with the government interfering with the way they teach their children, right? This is going to be a huge deal. I don't think it's going to pass. I think it's smoke and mirrors, that they're trying to get something else going under the table that you don't know about. I don't see this being signed into law. I really don't. And some people say, well, if it does get signed into law, the Supreme Court will overturn it and all this and that. But it sets the precedent, right, where things can start changing real quick without your control. Because did you vote on this? Do you want your do you want your homeschool to be considered essentially a public school? I don't mean that everybody can come, but you have to follow the same rules as a public school as far as your school. Your home becomes the school, and you're not allowed weapons at school, right? So this could get a little dicey, a little tricky. I don't personally see it going into law. And one thing I want to make very clear, why are laws like this that they're trying to pass, why is it not put up to a vote for the citizens, right? Like all the money we send to all these countries, why is it not put up for a vote for the citizens? Some people say, well, your Congress and all them, they're your representatives. That's who votes for you. When it comes to things like this, American people should be able to vote on it, whether they want it or not, or they want to give somebody this or not. Every citizen, right? Another thing that shows the reason it probably would never be done like that, because most people would vote no. Well, then the government don't want that, right? Because we all know your vote at the end of the day doesn't really count when it comes to certain elections, right? A lot of YouTubers are really on here shouting and screaming about, that, hey, this is going to pass, it's going to become law, and it's going to cause all these problems. It seems like every day, we've talked about every day something else comes up. The government's coming after you, the government's going to do this, we're starting wars everywhere. One YouTuber I watched today, he replied to somebody's comment on his video. He said, I do not want none of the government's money. He homeschools his kids. He doesn't want government grants or nothing like that they can keep their money. But at the same time, this YouTuber is a volunteer firefighter rescue squad member. Most people know rescue squads, volunteer fire department rescue squads are funded by federal and state grants. Not totally. Now, not totally. I may be wrong on this, but it's usually around between $4,000 and maybe $10,000 to outfit a volunteer firefighter with all the gear he needs. And plus you've got your training, you got to get certificates and all this and that. So when he said that, it kind of struck me like, wait a minute, you're on here telling people you're against, federal grants, but yet your fire department over here more than likely receives some form of grant money to operate. Everybody likes to think a volunteer fire department or rescue squads operate solely on the community money. Now, they may be small places where this happens, but when it comes to equipment and stuff, that stuff gets expensive and they have to reach out for help to get it. You'll have a lot of fundraisers and things like that, yes. But a vast majority of them are funded by federal or state grants to help them get their equipment. Now, get back on track here. If they pass this law and then your home becomes technically a school and have to follow the school rules, what are they going to do about homesteaders that have weapons on their property? They're homesteaders. They got to defend their flock. They got to, there's all types of stuff you got to do in a homestead to take care of stuff, right? You got coyotes, you got all types of stuff trying to kill your animals. You got to take care of them. I'm hoping it's just something that they're throwing out there and I don't see it getting passed. I personally don't see it getting passed, and I may be wrong on it because here lately society is completely crazy. We all know that. It may get signed into law. But if it does get signed into law, how are they going to enforce that law? Are they going to go around to every homeschool and seize their weapons? You know, possibly. They're always going to try some type of backdoor gun confiscation because they can't come and just take your guns because it's protected by the Second Amendment. I've always felt that one thing they could do is make ammo ridiculously high price where you can't afford it or just absolutely unavailable, right? Everywhere you turn, they're trying to take something from you. They always vote on, it's for public safety or to betterment of children or this and that. And all it's doing is chipping away at your constitutional rights. That's it. That's it. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think Missouri will pass this law? Do you think they will pass it and we'll have this type of situation? And do you think if they pass it, how many other states are going to pass it? Is it going to become a federal law? You know, that homeschools have to abide by the same rules as a public school. Let me know your thoughts on this. Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you're the only person that can do it. We're still in the rain and wind here, hoping it eases up by the weekend, but the weather is just not cooperating this week, but we need the rain. Stay safe and keep prepping.